Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Glitch History, the show where we take a deep dive into the history of glitches in video games, how they affected casual play as well as speedruns, and how they were utilized in each context. Today we are taking a deep dive into one of my personal favorites, Super Mario 64. Released on June 23, 1996, Super Mario 64 was an instant classic, and completely revolutionized and in some ways kickstarted the 3D gaming craze. Before Super Mario 64, 3D-oriented games were pretty scarce, and the ones that were available weren't very great. But Super Mario 64 just hit different, being the best-selling game in the entire 5th generation and selling almost 12 million copies. The amazing success of this game simply cannot be denied. However, transitioning into an entirely new dimension of movement possibilities presents its challenges and, of course, glitches. So it quickly needs to be stated that if I were to go over every glitch found within Super Mario 64, this video would be several hours, if not days long. So to keep it at a digestible amount of time, we are only going to go over the glitches that have direct correlation to speedrunning, as well as ones that heavily break the game and the ones that I personally find interesting. Now that we have the basics out of the way, we can dive straight into the rabbit hole. Number 1. BLJ, or backwards long jump, is easily the most iconic movement option and speedrunner tool within the game, allowing for the game to be beaten in a minuscule time of 6 minutes and 20 seconds as of the making of this video. For the more casual viewers, performing a long jump backwards removes the normal cap set on Mario's movement speed, allowing for breakneck speeds that allow speedrunners to clip through doors, walls, and even invisible loading triggers. But how does this work? To answer that, we need to talk about parallel universes. Nah, I'm joking. We need to understand the frame data of the game, or simply put, the way the game calculates movement on a frame-by-frame basis. Each frame, the game calculates Mario's movement in 4 steps, or quarter steps. Each quarter step, the game will perform a check to see if Mario is moving into something that would block his movement, such as a wall, a ceiling, or an object. When detecting an obstacle that will block Mario's movement, it will, of course, block him from moving further in that direction. However, because of how this is calculated, if you have enough speed to be completely through the object and to the other side within 1 quarter step, you simply go through it as if it wasn't there. Due to this quirk in the game's collision detection, magic is made possible. People have been using BLJ for years to break the game in wild ways, from the classic infinite staircase skip to the more skillful execution of the lobby BLJ. It's no wonder this is the most well-known glitch in the game by far, even being used as a key feature in several ROM hacks. Number 2. Lakitu Skip. In the very beginning of the game, as you try to cross the bridge, you will be stopped by this cloud-riding turtle guy with a camera called Lakitu, but talking to him wastes time, so obviously runners had to find a way to skip the poor little guy. Now, this trick follows a principle within games of this era where you have to be on the ground for at least 2 frames for cutscene and cutscene-like events to trigger. As an example of this, in the speedrun of Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, video coming soon, you can entirely skip the Happy Mask salesman's initial meeting and cutscenes by pausing the game and unpausing on each frame, not giving the game the needed time to start the cutscene. It's sort of the same principle here as by long jumping to the very edge of the railing and long jumping again, the exact frame you land on the bridge, you can trick the game into thinking you were never on the bridge, thus skipping our poor friend Lakitu and leaving him outside the castle for eternity. Number 3. Bomb Clip. The way this glitch works seems very complicated and weird, however it's actually fairly simple, at least from my understanding of it. You start by picking up a bomb, jumping twice, throwing it during your second jump, and picking it up as it's expanding to explode. This causes 2 things to happen. 1, it causes the timer for its explosion to reset, and 2, It causes Mario to constantly be pushed backwards due to him holding something that has expanded collision. Because of the expanded state of the ball bomb, its collision is pushing against Mario, causing the backwards movement, while him holding it keeps that collision active right in front of him. Throwing objects in Super Mario 64 causes Mario to visibly move backward. And that, combined with the momentum of the bomb pushing you, and the right angle, can cause you to clip through some of the game's thinner walls, doors, and gates. Used in various and creative ways, the most prominent use of this glitch is to clip through the gate that the Chain Chomp is guarding in the bomb battlefield, to quickly obtain the star. However, the most insane use of this glitch is in Rainbow Ride. Yeah, that glitch is crazy and I didn't want to ruin it by talking. Number 4, Cannonless. This one is a bit weird. In Whomp's Fortress, there is a star called Blast Away the Wall. Pretty self-explanatory. However, you don't have to blast this wall away at all. Simply run into it with the right angle and timing, and voila, you have the star. Okay, maybe it's not quite that simple. What is really going on here? So as we explained previously, with quarter steps, the game calculates Mario's movement in 4 separate increments per frame. Now because of the shape of the wall and the placement of the star, there's a very slight overlap with the corner of the star in the flat section of the wall. Now normally you wouldn't be able to touch it despite the ever so slight overlap. However, with the exact right position and timing, the game will check the quarter step and see that you're touching a star, which it calculates before the collision of the wall, resulting in you obtaining the star when you seemingly shouldn't have. Number 5, Owlless. Not so much a glitch, but more of a creative use of available movement. The intended way has us using our friendly neighborhood owl to fly us up into the sky and drop us into the cage that the star resides in. However, speedrunners tend to use a method called Owlless. By positioning yourself correctly on the rotating platform, then performing a triple jump and a wall kick, and finally holding a specific angle on the control stick, you can just barely get inside the cage and collect the star. It is worth noting that if you get a first frame wall kick, or firstie, you won't be able to get in the cage due to the speed conservation properties of first frame wall kicks. Number 6, MIPS Clip. MIPS is named after the MIPS microprocessor without interlocked pipeline stages. MIPS Clip was the first known method of clipping through the 30-star Bowser door, essentially creating the 16-star category back in the day. By picking up MIPS, lining up with the corner of a door, and crouching using the Z button, MIPS will be pushed behind Mario, in turn pushing him into the door. You can then use the crouched state to turn around in place, pick MIPS back up, and jump to get to the other side of the door. Repeat the process on the Bowser door, minus the re-grabbing him, and you are on your way to 16-star glory. Unfortunately, the MIPS clips don't see much use these days, being replaced with BLJs that are faster. Number 7, Pillarless. Oh boy, this one has a lot of parts to it. In Shifting Sandland, there is a star that requires you to touch the tops of all 4 pillars around the pyramid, which causes the top to spin, levitate, and then explode, for some reason. However, we can use some very specific movement and some tricky setup to clip through it and hit the loading zone without touching any of the pillars. You start by performing a bomb regrab, allowing the backwards momentum to push you over the slope. Slopes in this game sometimes cause Mario to drop the item he's holding, which is what happens when he gets right about here on the slope. Then by instantly jump diving, you can re-grab the bomb again, causing the blow-up timer to become infinite, as well as putting you in a weird state where Mario is holding the bomb, but can still jump dive and ground pound. However, if you move the control stick at all while Mario is on the ground, the bomb will blow up. By using these movement techniques in a specific way and utilizing the backwards momentum, you can navigate up the side of the pyramid, and with the proper angle and timing, you can clip through the top part of the pyramid and enter the loading zone. Number 8. Hazy Maze Cave. There's a couple tricks in Hazy Maze Cave that I would like to highlight, and each of them are fairly short, so I'm going to make them a single entry. Most people know by now that the ceiling in Hazy Maze Cave is odd, sometimes simply not being there at all, allowing you to perform a triple jump off of this coin box right here to skip a large portion of the level, and if your angle is correct, you can land right on the star. Another star in Hazy Maze Cave requires you to use the metal cap to run to an underwater button opening the gate blocking the door to the star. Now, there are many ways to do this, however my favorite way, and the way I find most consistent, has us perform a double jump and kick at the right time against the face of the gate, and then with the right timing, holding backwards on the control stick, for some reason it allows Mario to activate the switch. So what causes this interaction to work? The answer is simple. Yet another oddity in the game's movement calculation. Once again, reckoning back to the quarter step rule for movement. What happens here is fairly simple. Mario, when entering this spot in the water, has enough speed that his vertical quarter step position is outside of the water on the first quarter step and standing on the switch on the next quarter step, and then the water takes effect on the very next frame. Fortunately, we only need to stand on the switch for a single frame for it to open the door. Number 9. The up warp. I should start by saying this glitch is still not quite fully understood to this day. However, I'm going to take all of the information I can gather and try to explain what happened as well as some of the working theories as to what caused it. A runner by the name of Dota Teabag was doing a speedrun race against the runner mid-boss, when in Tick-Tock Clock, he suddenly warped upwards through a ceiling, otherwise known as an upwarp. Now there are several known ways to downwarp, collecting stars, getting crushed, and clipping into platforms, when under certain circumstances, can all cause you to downwarp. However, only one upwarp has ever been truly replicatable. Within the stage, Bowser in the Fire Sea, tool-assisted speedrunners are able to use an upwarp which is caused by having a hangable ceiling above them. However, this isn't the case in Tick-Tock Clock, as there is no hangable ceiling above this spot in the level. However, we do actually know what happened. In most video games, there are values assigned to keeping track of your movement, on the X, Y, and Z axis. And what seemed to have happened was the value of the Y-axis was somehow changed in the game's memory, causing Mario to warp straight up. The leading theory for how this happened is that a rogue, quote, cosmic ray, or charged proton originating from our sun, came into contact with the N64's memory control module in just the perfect way, causing 1 bit of the byte responsible for tracking Mario's Y-axis position to change, resulting in the upwarp. Other theories cite that it may have been an oversight in how the game handles ceiling seams, or the effect of hitting the wall and landing on the platform on the same frame. However, if this was the case, it would be fully replicatable without much issue. Many years and thousands of hours of testing by the community, and yet this glitch has still not truly been replicated to this day, and possibly never will be. In any case, Pan and Koek had placed a $1,000 bounty on this glitch 7 years ago. Number 10. Cloning. Probably one of the most jarring glitches in the game when taken out of context. We have all seen the screenshots. Mario surrounded by various cloned objects. But how does it work? When Mario grabs an object, an address is updated within the memory of the game, so the game will know what object Mario is holding. However, because the grab takes 2 frames to initiate, you are able to grab objects that unload while the grab is taking place, resulting in Mario holding an empty memory address. Using this and specific movement, you can write values into that address that shouldn't be there. Theoretically speaking, most if not all objects in the game can be held by Mario using this method. However, the most common use of this is to clone coins, enemies, or stars for various uses. However, there is another way to perform this glitch. In stages with loading zones, when traveling through the loading zone while holding an object, such as the Chuckya in Wet Dry World, the held object will despawn, resulting in Mario holding an empty memory address. This glitch was originally the basis for coin maxing in levels, as cloning made it trivial to max out the coin counter anywhere you go. That's all I have for you this time. Let me know in the comments section which game I should cover next, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future uploads. I hope you have a wonderful day.